Welcome to our webinar Best Practice. The topic today is CADISON R15. Your moderators today is Michael Brückner, that's me, and Frank Schnitzler, he is in the background. What requirements and documentation we need is of course CADISON basics, and from the documentation side what you need is the latest information, important information for the CADISON setup and the release notes, so you can download, and of course online help if you have installed the software, and this webinar as an overview. What is the reasons for this webinar? Of course, we want to give you an early overview about CADISON R15 content. We want to give you an overview about the new functions over all modules, and we want to give you an overview of the important improvements what we will have. This webinar replaces not an update training, because a lot of functions what we have behind needs more information, more training and more explanations. And the release date is planned on week 40, and we will inform you over a newsletter when the release is then ready for the download on the website. The content is in this time a little bit different in case of the administration. Then we will have a look on the designer, and then we go over the modules, and we talk here only about some changes what we will have in the modules, and we will go until to the archiver. Why we have this part of the administration here? It is mostly important that when we talk about the CADISON installation, then we have system administrators and the CADISON administrators, and mostly we get the issues from the customer side. We make an installation and we don't read the documents. That means special part here takes the system requirements for the installation and setup, look in the license document, look in the changes and improvement in the object model, and look also in the changes and improvement in the report functions. Because here you will have some most information why it's required to make some tests. So some functions have some completely changes inside, and you must look how it works later in your environment. And we have the part of the tools. System requirements is here only the 64-bit what I have placed on the screen, and the changes here is for the workstation side Windows 8.1, and the server side is Windows Server 2012 R2 with the required service pack. And from the AutoCAD area we still go to AutoCAD 2014, so that you must here have not a change on this level, and here on the note on the footer you will have the information that we have tested the CADISON server in the standard edition. Administration and installation, again we want to motivate you to read the documentation before you made any installations and an update, and in this documents is a snapshot from the DVD, so that is what you can use, and that is what you have to read. Order the new license file before you start your update, and please have in mind that you should do that 2 or 4 days before, and send the request only on register@ignfactory.com. If you would send this to some others, you will get no reply. So please do this, that we can make the licenses for you in a quicker way. If you talk about the object model, we have one improvement that is mostly for the companies in food and beverage required, and mostly for welding ends. And here we have a new property built in, and with this property you can now cut your lengths from valves, from teeth, some reducers. And here it's very important, if you use this function, you must not delete the graphic entry, and you can then work with a full functionality. An example of a catalog is available that we also will provide a little bit later. The second point is in the object model, the cable numbering functionality. It's now in a way that you can select the cable labeling or tagging style, and that is important that you can see this information in the project level. And that is required to start in a project on the beginning to make these changes in a proper way. Here I want to make a note that you have to look mostly in the project part. We have here around about 3 or 4 settings. I will show some a little bit later. The next point in improvement is the list from file. So here we have options built in that we can say the disabling of the empty field we can now make happen. And on the other side we have a new default formulas by the LFF mechanism built in the system. Also the cross-references within a drawing, we make changes. It makes exactly 2 changes. One is that we now have increased the way that we can also go over the current drawing. That is what I marked red here. And the other point is that we now make the accessing of the property for the current CADISON user available. So here we have a new keyword so that we can use this data in other places. We also make a linking between the bended pipes and the service items, so that now we have a little bit more freedom on this way. Reports, we have only one new functions in the report requirement, and that is mostly for the using of sub-functions. So here we can make some settings inside a report. That is what you can see here in the standard TBL, and we need also a setting in the CADISON INI below the sub-initialization. That means in the initialization of the ERP interfaces, if you are using MoveX or SAP or Navision, is that one of the part what you can set. One other point, so I'm happy on that to hear that now the improvement for the word generators, that they are now get some increasing of the performance, and we are not using longer the Windows clipboard, so that also here these reports will go faster. Yeah, then other improvement in case of the revision from drawings. So that was a wish from customers that the characters what we have for the revision ID was before only 3, now we have 4. So you can also use this in a way. So here you should discuss this internally how you can use it in a proper way. Yeah, if we talk about tools, then after nearly 1 year, we can say the formula designer or form designer is now in the standard package. So whenever you make the installation, you can also take now this tool and you can create your own formulas in a smart way. On the left side, it's here, you have all the properties. On the right side, you have the settings where you can then make sure that if you take by drag and drop the point here, that you can make your formulas in a good way, and it helps you a lot. Here we also had a webinar on August 31, and in this webinar we also showed how you can work with this form designer. Then we make a small improvement by using from the Ghost script. Also here you have to add in the CADISON INI one setting, and the setting starts with GS for Ghost script and then the DLL root, and then you must give the path. Here please have in mind that we are talking about the 32-bit, that is what you see here, and we talk about the 64-bit. That is then only program files, and below that we have GS, and then you must also have the right DDL for the different systems. Let us now go to our designer, and we will start with the common part of the designer. Here I make a small summary on the first line. We have in summary 5 new functions, 70 improvements, and 16 reported issue proceeded, and I put not all point on this. You can see this later on the release notes, but I took for me one of the important points that I can say whenever we are talking about signal line or cable or whatever, it was not possible to make a continuous of the pipeline. In the release note you will find not this word continue pipeline, you find only the word continue line, but the real command in the CADISON 15 called continue pipeline. So with this you can now go for cable signal lines, effect lines. You can go between the motors and pumps if you have this line connection. So the system is now take all the data and you can continue these lines. In case of the support of the imperial units, now we have also created a lot of things for the imperial part, but here for the MPL style I think that is very important, so that you are working on that level, that we are now working also with the imperial area from the MPLs, and we have now some values what we must now also learn with 1/16 inch, and that is so also calculated in metric, also in inch form, and is also multiple for the wider lines or for the line types. And also the information from the colors property is the same what we have in the metric area. It comes then to reports. Then we can also create now an index sheet as an AutoCAD drawing. So that means we'll wish from mostly people they are working in the electrical area, but also mostly people they are now going only from drafting parts, and they want to have the documents from the document group and want to see all sheets what they have below. They have now the option to make this index sheet inside from the CADISON happens. One of the, I would say, very interesting function is the transferring the graphic to another symbol. And if you're looking here, so if you open drawing and you select with the context menu one of the objects, then you will have a new entry that called copy graphic 2. And the nice thing on this is, you know that we have dynamic symbols, and if you have other symbols they are not dynamic, it's very difficult to exchange this. With this command you can make happen that dynamic symbol what you will have here can take this information over to a non-dynamic symbol, but this symbol will then dynamic. Very smart and helps a lot to make your life easier in this way. The extended dialog copy objects, I would say that is one of the newest technology what we built in, and that means the dialog is completely new. You can see this also, it's now not longer colorful, it's more than gray, and with this part the system will select automatically the superior objects, so that you must not go through 3 or 4 steps. You can have this now in one step, and on the other hand if you want to copy subordinate objects you can go over this button and then you get the list, and then you will also see what subordinated objects are there. All points below you see it's the same as before, only as the dialog is now more intelligent. That means it takes a lot of work from your thinking. I think you will love it if you would try it out in practice. Yeah, then we have the next dialog what we have changed, and that is now the delete object dialog in drawings. And also here you will have a complete other view. Here we have a little bit colors inside with a help button, and here also whenever you delete something and you make this in a proper way, then the system will select, for example here I select this pump, not pumps, motor and the vessel and the pipelines, and you will see the system will give us the information of the connection from to and takes the pipeline and some other things, so that you have also, if you select all the things, a better control in the delete function. More improvements what we also built in is the part of the Explorer command options format. That means before it was the list what you see here in the command line in Autodesk, and now if you go during your working, right clicks and you will get this content, and you can also select the items like that what we have in AutoCAD. Then the next dialog, the dialog from, yeah, if the missing representations are there, it's also completely new, and also here the function below is more reduced, so that whenever this dialog is coming up, it will help you a little bit more and give you the right feeling to do the right things. Also here, more gray, no colorful. The last point on this option is wish from a lot of people to say we want to go through document and we want to send this by email, and that you can do now in this. You select the drawings, go to the document management, and then you can send this document via email to your customer, and then you have an easier way and must not go over the Windows Explorer. Yeah, if we then look to the PIN-ID designer, here we have, and I selected only one of the improvements, so 5 we have done and 18 reported issues are there. Here is a very important point, the cross references, and we have make, I would say, a bigger change in case of, you know, earlier it was a P name, that was the ID from this part, and now we spend a new attribute, it's called marker name, and with this marker name that is a real ID, and the object name is then the P name. And it's very important that you work with this. You need this together in as mandatory to the data, and that means the old data will not automatically update it. So that you take care on this, that you have some templates, that you make some modifications inside of the template. If we then look to our designer in 3D, also here we have around about 10 new functions, 6 improvements, and 20 reported issues. One of the, let me say, very, very nice functions is that we have a new option. It's called section view definitions. That means we will have here on this area 3 new buttons. One of the button is section view, and the green button here is an update button for this, and that means we have now an option where we can make our sections dynamic, and that is new. And dynamic means what we can do, we can now put a box in our 3D designer, and whatever this box is, that is then now the limitation for my drawing. Whenever I want to change in my drawings, on my GA drawings, I can modify this in this box, and you can see this here. This, whatever I have inside the box, I can define left, top, front, side and back, and if I have the changes done, then I can push this button. So that will help us a lot in case of creation. And if we are looking a little bit forward, then you can see here we are doing that not in the graphical way, we are doing this also in the database way. That means we have the section box here, and we have some the section view definition. In case of the number, it's top, and we can create a lot of things here. And what we can do later is we can take this section view and we can make it by drag and drop and can move it on our layout, so that we get our 3D in a very fast way to 2D, and we can make all modifications also here in the database objects. We must not go back into drawing. Very smart, and I think that is one of the biggest improvement. It took also a long time to get this happen. The next point what we want to have a look is the question of the style layout. Here in the style layout we have now 2 new functions. That is a caged ladder that was missing before, and that was some trusses. And if you're looking on this point, we have now 2 wizards, one for the caged ladder and one for the trusses, and we will have also a new shape section so that we can have O's, we can make elbows. So whenever we have send a vessel in a platform, so we can also make around a security part of this. So, and that is now our caged ladder. that is picture number 1. Picture number 2 is it's a picture with extended functions, so what we can give, and we can save it as before. And on the end of the day we talk about the truss, and if you are looking to the truss, we have then the truss here we can select, and then we have around about 6 different truss. And here also, whenever you are working with this below, then you can save this, you can reload the last setting so that you can make the objects in a quite faster way. In the designer themselves we have some other improvements. One of that is placing a vessel after editing. If we do this with our vessel assistant, so we can now make it happen that this vessel, what we have changed or modified, that this will be same on the same place. The next new function is a very smart function also in case of, if we talk about the alternative pressure levels for the flanges. That means whenever you have PN10, PN16 or PN25, in some ranges flange sizes are the same, and that we can now make happen in a configuration file so that we can make this configuration in a good way. Also we put now the made by property in the tank and the nozzle wizard so that everybody knows later on who makes the tanks, who makes the nozzles, and then we put this in a proper way. Then we have the implemented inch round up table for the screw length calculation. That looks like this. So that means in this part we are now a little bit more flexible, so whenever we have this information, what is a min and what is a max length and what is a rounding step, so that we can go now up and can make our own roundings for better screws. Isogen is also a part in that we make some new things. One of the newest part is the newest Isogen version. That is very important that we also work with this, because then we have always the best setup and the best hotline from the Isogen environment. Here we have 2 new functions and round about 3 improvements. One point is the option to the Isogen dialog for resetting the repeat part number, long wish from the peoples, and a new option for the eliminating from the PID codes was also long wish. And other points was the issue of open-end stacks for pipeline isometric drawings and drawing names conflicts. I think that was one of the issues what was very open and often by the customers, so we fix this now. The new functions what we now build in is also a wish from the customers. Whenever we create an isometric, we can also place this drawing, also this pipeline, in 3D automatically below this isometric. This point is a fixed point that you can set up in a file, so that you can say it should be 5 or 10 millimeter from here. You can also take this later, you can scale it, you can move it to other place, but if you do this in the setup files, then you will have this always in the same position. It helps a lot, and whenever you make a split in the drawing, that will also give you the information on the left and the right side, so that we work with some shadows that is darker and some is a little bit lighter. It's an interesting function, it works very well and helps you also to make your drawings in a proper way. So the designer in electrical, we spent also some new functions. One is mostly in case of the calculations, the transformer sizing, UPS sizing and earthing calculation, so that this point will help people for creating the SLDs in a proper way. Designer for Visio, here so far I have seen we have no Visio people here on the as a participants, so that means we have 6 new functions or 10 improvements and 10 reported issues. A very important point is functions, what we also have built in the designer, that we now have a new context menu for the cross-reference, that we can switch very quick from one cross-reference to the other cross-reference. And we also built in now the automatic legend functionality in the Visio PNID designer that is also available in electric designer and in the standard PNID designer. And for the most autogrid in Visio is not a drafting tool, but with this autogrid function we are now able to make Visio to a drafting tool so that we can always snap on the grid, and that is also a very useful function. And on the other hand is in Visio the performance optimization, a big point in case of different points, and we make a redesign, and we make some improving in text positionings, and we have spent also the copy and paste for drag and drop functionalities now in Visio. If we look a little bit more on the CADISON common environment, then we have here it's a wide range. We have here 5 new functions, so around about 23 improvements and 40 reported issues that all you will find later in the release notes. And here we will have a look a little bit in case of the supporting the undo and the extra remove links. And also one of the important point is the online error checking when changing tag number is manually done, and here you need a setup in the project settings, so you have to switch on the online check that is then enabled, and you can say what things you want to check. So here also a little bit more knowledge is required, and here we use a logic analyzer function that will permanent running behind with a special setting for this online error check. All of which, along which what customers want. The other point was a discussion about the list from file that was not able to make the translation. Now the translation is also possible. The project engineer is next point. Here we want only to look to one new function. We have also 2 improvements in case of this function, and we have 10 reported issues. One of the new functions is that the report query wizard, you can start from extras, and if you go to extras and you go down, then you will have the query wizard, and if you open this query wizard, then you will get this dialog, and with this wizard you can make it happen that you create your reports in a proper way. Means you can say where you are searching, what kind of things you want to do, structure, composite or project. You go so deep in the query, you will write the structural object what to be searched, you will have the components what to be searched, and you can take all data from this level. And here also you have the report query information so that you can do this now in a proper way, and then also you will have on the beginning, on the end you will have then your ready-made query. You also can take your existing queries, and with the existing queries you can also make a check if these existing queries are working well, or if you have some issues you can modify this here also. And then you copy this data in your statement file from TPL. Number 8 is MudPipe. Also here in MudPipe we spent a lot of efforts with the new functions. One of the new functions is the catalog revision control. The second function is the implemented functionality to copy paste primitives from parapipe trees. That means you can select multiple objects and you can put this in other catalogs. But here you need more practice, and here we have also to look on a new strategy how you can take existing templates and you can build it in your own catalogs. Because if you not follow a rule book, then it will not work. One point is now the catalog revision control. So that means you go on this, you start the control function on the catalogs, and then you can get all the information, and here you can then write what kind of revisions that is, you get a revision number and so on, so that you have all the data on this level. One of the other improvement is that the common data maintenance function is now switched on. Before it was not switched on, so you must do it by hand. So, and I hope that will be also then workable in the final version. And we have also supporting now multilingual list from file properties and language specified properties in formulas. We have an update from replicates catalogs. That was one of the issue in case of sharing the catalogs and make it in a better way. And of course we have a quicker search function now. That is also a part what we make in the improvement. From the catalog side, we have added more catalogs now in case of steel, and you can see more catalogs on our website, and here you have the data proper available. Website CADISON.com, go to MudPipe, and then you will get the list of the catalogs what we have at the moment in the portfolio. Also, we have the archiver and archive browser. Here we had only bug fixing issue with documents could not be opened for the viewing in the archive browser, and we make some optimizations when you are working on this, so that now the archive browser works quite good. Many thanks for joining. We are looking forward to see you in our next webinar. This is a production of IT and Factory GmbH in 2015.